So this morning we covered the opening speakers for Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden. I also wanted to jump over in this video to what he was saying because it's some truly abhorrent things, even by his standards, going at generals, going at Americans. I mean, it's pretty inexcusable and shocking that someone who could actually be our president is allowed to talk this way. So let's line these clips up and jump in where's needed.
And that's what happened. 82 years. Other than I finished off ISIS, but that was already started. We had stupid generals like Milley and Mattis, weak, stupid people.
Now, remember, MAGA wanted us to believe that there was no possible way that Trump called fallen veterans suckers and losers. That is just way beyond his character, and there's no reason we should believe he would ever do this. This was despite him calling John McCain, a veteran and a prisoner of war, a loser. Trump called him a loser on television in public for everyone to see, but MAGA still was like, no. He would never talk about troops in that way, where here he is now talking more about troops, two top generals this time, 5-star generals. He's calling them stupid and weak people. When is this denigration of our troops going to end? I mean, Captain Bone Spurts here, who didn't have to serve, is now attacking soldiers who have sacrificed their livelihoods to be in our military, weak people. That's like, is that really lost on MAGA there? I don't know. He has no respect for those who serve, only as much as they support him, does he? But the second they don't, he has no issue disparaging them like he did to John McCain, like he did to these generals here. And I think it's pretty obvious at this point, like he did to the fallen troops in the cemetery, calling them suckers and losers. As we can see clearly, he has no problem disrespecting our veterans. So I'm going to believe the pattern of behavior over the chronic liar saying he didn't do something.
I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. That's how far back. That's when they had law and order. They had some tough ones. Think of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. You hear that, Mr. Speaker? Get ready.
I just want to be clear here when I lay out what this act does. It allows a president to deport anyone in this country. They could be legal immigrants or even now American citizens. So it's more than just undocumented immigrants at this point, but he can deport them just because they were born in another country. An American citizen who spent his whole life here, like was born, let's say they were born in, I don't know, Mexico, right? And they've been here since they were 2. He could deport them. They were born in Venezuela. They moved here at 6. They've lived their whole life here. They're 36 now. Trump could deport them with this act. It's also the act that enabled the locking of Japanese Americans up into internment camps. I mean, anytime that this act has been enabled and used, it's for horrendous stuff. And this just kind of echoes the sentiment that throughout his campaign where he plans to go after even legal immigrants. It's just immigrants point blank period because they're brown. That is his problem. I mean, it gives away the game that his truly racist ambitions of just ridding this country of brown people, of foreigners who he sees as less than, as garbage, in his own words, right? And it's eye-opening the amount of people who support this. It's a level of racism that I personally can't come back from in terms of forgetting as a brown person myself in this country, supporting this man speaking racism, saying he'll do blatant racism is a line crossed that I don't see myself ever forgiving.
It's just this amorphous group of people, but they're smart and they're vicious, and we have to defeat them. And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. And
as he continues to clarify what he meant by enemy within, sometimes mentioning by name those like Adam Schiff or Nancy Pelosi, sometimes making it a blanket statement about all Democrats. It's even crazier now that he said he would consider using the National Guard against them. This is blatant fascism. Like, this is what fascism is. I don't know why people like don't get that, or they're saying it's upping the rhetoric to say that. Like, he's saying he's going to do it. Like, as anyone with journalistic integrity that is reporting on this stuff has an obligation to call it what it is, right? It's at our doorstep. Fascism is knocking at our door and half of America wants to let it in. Hearing him speak like this also makes it almost laughable like completely disqualifying for anyone who wants to be taken serious, who a month ago was saying, like all these Republicans saying that Democrats were the divisive ones, Democrats were the ones who needed to turn down the rhetoric and have been creating this split in our country. Fast forward, and not a single one of them have a problem with Trump speaking like this, literally drawing a line in the sand and saying anyone on that side is the enemy and they need to be dealt with. Like, anyone against him at this point is the enemy within. And he's saying, we're going to have to take care of them. At one point saying, I might use the National Guard to do so. And it's a scary time in America where if Trump wins, he's only going to further this divide, more so normalize this kind of behavior in American politics and bring us to a truly scary time in our history. It's something that we will have to do our best as Americans, as patriots, not even just as Democrats, as people who love our country. We will have to do our best to prevent that at the ballot box in just 1 week's time.